All right. Well, let's go ahead and get started. And thank everyone for coming tonight to the September competition meeting for Focus Gamer Club. So we have a hybrid meeting tonight, which is pretty exciting. Those of us joining via Zoom, as well as in the Lone Tree Civic Center there. So, hi, Lone Tree. We'll keep them muted though, just to prevent the background noise for now. But yeah, so tonight we have Kevin Holliday doing the judging, and we'll get to that in a minute. But see that we do have a few visitors, and I'd like to just introduce them, just say hi and welcome. Thanks for checking us out, for joining the club. We're going to run you through kind of a standard set of questions here. So no pressure, but we're interested in how you found the club, and just a little bit about your photography, what kind of photography you like to do, and also where do you live, because we can't presume that everyone's in the Denver area now. So Bob Case, is that right? Do I have that right?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, well, welcome.
It's nice to find you.
Yeah. So how did you find us, and where do you live?
I found you through the neighborhood.
Okay.
And we live just off of Coal Mine in Wadsworth.
Okay.
Incorporated Jeffco.
Mm-hmm. Cool. And what kind of photography do you like to do?
I do mostly landscape. We spent some time at the ocean, and I've always tried to catch the big splash.
Uh-huh.
Never made it, but almost got my hip pocket soaked. But that's as close as I've come.
Mm-hmm.
I retired about 2 years ago, and I've been singing barbershop for about 38 years. So that's been my other hobby.
Okay. Well, we won't ask you to sing tonight, so that's
because I would need 3 other parts.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Well, thanks. And for those of you that are visiting the club, we have 2 meetings a month, on the 2nd and the 4th Wednesday. This is 4th Wednesday. We do the competitions. On the 2nd Wednesday of the month, we have a program. So I'd encourage you to check out the program the next month if you haven't before. So thanks, Bob. Steve Gandy, same questions for you if you would like. We can't hear you. I think you're still muted. Yeah.
I should know that.
There we go.
On Zoom like twice a week. Butch Mazuka turned me on to this group, and I was here 2 weeks ago. Found that really interesting, and I wanted to see a competition. I live up in just outside Bellevue, Colorado, near Horsetooth, Fort Collins.
Yeah.
And what else? What was the other?
Just what kind of photography you like to do?
Yeah, I've done a little bit of everything. I've been a photographer since I was 16. So that's going on 50 years, right? And but what I really love to do is fine art, natural scene photography. I hate to call them landscapes because sometimes they're real intimate, and sometimes they're abstract, and sometimes they're just a quintessential landscape. But that's my big deal. But I'll do anything.
Okay. Well, thanks. And finally, Geneva Dempsey.
Hi.
Hi.
My name's Geneva. I am in the Wash Park area, and I've been looking for a photography club to help me pursue where I'm changing my career after 20 years in banking and finance. And I'm wanting to get into photography, which has been my passion my whole life. I've shot stuff ever since I was in high school, weddings and portraits and headshots, always kind of the free friend that would show up and do all the photos. My niche though right now is I'm trying to get into real estate photography. And so I'm just kind of slowly working my way into it. And I wanted to meet some fellow photographers and get some insights and hone my craft.
Okay, well, thanks. And how did you find us?
Online. I was looking
Right.
around for some photography clubs and I kept stumbling across your all's group and so yeah, I'm really interested and wanted to see the competition and I was really interested with the mentor thing. I know that's still kind of in the works. So yeah,
Mhm.
I'm just really looking to connect with some fellow photographers.
Okay, well, great. Well, thanks for joining us this evening.
Nice to meet everybody.
So yeah, so with that, we'll get into the competition. And like I said, our judge tonight is Kevin Holliday, and I'll read a short
Hello.
bio on him, and then we'll get into the competition. So Kevin Holliday is an internationally recognized fine art black and white photographer residing in metropolitan Atlanta. Along with being named the Professional Photographers of South Carolina Photographer of the Year in 2017, he's received awards from such international organizations as the CME Exposure Awards, ND Awards, and the esteemed IPA, International Photography Awards. His work has a primary focus on architecture, landscape, and long exposure minimalism, where it is noted for its attention to simple elements, leading lines, and negative space. Kevin attributes his attention to Kevin attributes this attention to his background in graphic design, an art form that is built from a blank slate based completely on vision. He wanted me to say that he is honored to be judging tonight for the Focus Camera Club, a club he holds near and dear. In his mind, black and white photography is very tricky, much more so than color, and to merely try to salvage a poor color image by converting it to black and white is a recipe for disaster. The best approach for success is to start with the intent of capturing simple things in black and white. Compositions grounded in simplicity yield growth in complexity. So thanks, Kevin. Anything else you'd like to add?
No, I think that pretty much says it. Yeah. I can't remember the last color image that I've captured, honestly, or produced. I capture everything in color, but I haven't produced a color image in probably 15 years, I bet, or so. I realized how difficult black and white photography can be, and knew that if I wanted to attempt to master it or be on that path, I needed to put all my focus towards black and white and nothing else. And then I've since even simplified it even more to where now all my images are square formats, so my compositions are all the same. When I look through the camera, it's, you know, all of these things I'm doing in an effort to just just keep honing the craft as much as I possibly can. And I love black and white. That's the way I like to see art in black and white. I wear color. I like color on my walls, but black and white on my photography.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, great. Well, we're happy to have you tonight. So
I'm happy to be here. Yeah.
we have, I think, about 40 images or so tonight.
Okay.
So we'll do the usual format. Bob will be presenting the images, and I'll introduce the title.
Okay.
Kevin will say, a few words, comment, critique, give it a score, and we'll move on. After we've accumulated a handful of 9 or 10 images scoring 9 or 10, we'll take a break and let the photographers, we'll go back and review those and let the photographers say a few words about their image if they would like. So without further ado, Bob, are you ready to go?
Ready.
All right, let's get at it then. Sand and sky.
Sand and sky. I do like the movement here, left to right movement, bouncing back and forth with the sand dunes in the foreground. Nice tonal control, I think, throughout the foreground. Looking at the kind of the grasses growing in there at the bottom, that gives a nice texture to kind of break up that smooth sand. I'm not in love with the sky treatment. I don't like, it feels awkward to me to have that treatment against an otherwise natural or mostly natural scene. And then there's a little dark shadow it hit there at one of the sand dunes. It's a nice image, has good movement, and the composition is pretty, but the sky is just not there for me. I'll give it an 8. The portrait.
I see you there.
Okay. Yeah. Your basic headshot, right? Corporate headshot of a bald eagle. It's missing in focus a little bit, it feels to me there. And I would like to see a little bit more brightness on the feathers, a little more pop on the white part of the feathers. And then I see this, watch your edges, you know, in your photography, watch the edges, that left edge there. There's that black kind of bleeding in. That's my eye keeps bouncing over to that, wondering what that is. You know, for a bird headshot, it's there. It is what it is, I guess. It doesn't speak to me too much, but it's technically it's not terrible, and it's pretty nice. I wish the focus was a little sharper on the eyes. I'll give it an 8.
Lightscape.
Boy, I photographed this building a lot when I lived in Denver, or attempted to. I finally got some that I liked. It's cool. It's a great building because of, I mean, just look at the linear patterns on this. It's really cool. And it works well in a high contrast scene like this. I can tell that it was a very sunny day because I can see that specular highlight down there on the lower left part of the building. One of the ways you can avoid that, by the way, is I used to work when I was working on buildings in Denver, is I loved white sky days like it was just about the snow, because you had no specular highlights and the windows did not reflect any clouds either. So it was like the perfect marriage of light. This is a cool composition. I like it. It's heavily vignetted, which is probably by intent, I'm sure. And I do like the high contrast of this. I'll give this a 9.
Denver Art Museum.
Yeah, it's I like the way the overhanging portion of the building is kind of lining up with that left edge of the center building there. You have that kind of that river between the two that's almost perfectly straight. This pretty cool movement back and forth. Another high contrast scene captured on a sunny day. You can see how tricky this is with black and white. That being said, it does work. It is easier to get away with that on black and white than it is in color, I believe. I would like to see a little more separation in the top of the overhanging building and the top right corner of the frame there. The sky and the building are very similar in tonality, so some selective masking here would help, I think, so you could darken the sky down and lighten the building up, or vice versa. I'll give this an 8.
The Professor.
The Professor. Really love the look on his face, the capture there, the angle of capture was a good kind of a portrait angle. The lighting is really well placed, I think. I'm not sure, you know, if it was lighting that was set up or just some room lighting overhead and some side lighting. I love his face. I love his little smirk. I can tell he's thinking about something. At the top of his head, I'm seeing some pretty substantial technical issues there, where it looks like there was some burning and dodging or some cloning or something happening there. That's, you can get away with that a little bit more in some nature photography if it's, you know, if it's hidden in the woods or something, but on a portrait, that's it's really jumping out at me. So I gotta dock this image, sadly, because I want to score it higher, but I need to give it a 7.
The Rainforest.
Oh, it's really pretty. This is one of those images, nature image, where there's not, the whole thing is the subject. There's not really one subject matter. It's really cool. I can see there's a slight vignette added to it, which is great because it helps drive your eye into the middle here. And there's beautiful texture. Tonal control is on point. Yeah, this is a 10. I like it. Well done.
Shipwreck remains.
This is kind of right up my alley, isn't it? Love this kind of photography. Beautiful scene. I would love to see this. This is a really cool scene. The sky is absolutely stunning. I like the composition. I love the foam of the on the shore here that kind of leads you back from the bottom right, kind of back into the left, and then you bounce back in off of that edge into the subject matter, which is really cool. This is really great. I want to score it a 10, but there's some minor burning issues around the entire subject matter into the sky that I can see, and I need to dock that down. I would ordinarily score this a 10, but I need to take it down to a 9 for those reasons. Really pretty. If those could be fixed, it would be on point. Yep. Just touch those up a little bit.
Almost there.
You can see their exhaustion. Great capture. Goodness. Something I've never done. This is tricky. Look at all the visual clutter in this scene. I mean, it's literally everywhere. There's lines and there's just, the water's in the background, and there's, this is a tricky capture for certain. And it's, you can tell like the third girl from the left, her right shoulder is like really blending into that water in the background. That's, obviously being caused because it's the tonalities are so similar, and then that water is being reflecting that light. So it's tough. This is a tough scene to photograph. I think the photographer handled it well. And I'll give them a 9 for that.
Fading away.
What a cool location. I do like this composition. I like that the photographer made sure to leave some room between the two buildings, a little bit of space there, or a gap between the two buildings. That was a very good choice. Again, tricky lighting, full sunshine, sun high in the sky. Yeah, this is one of those scenes that can be very tricky. There are a lot of things to like about this image. The movement of the sky, the composition is all really good, but I do need to point out over to the far left, the stairs coming up, there's some cloning issues that are happening to the handrails there, and then something right in the sky. And then inside of the main building, kind of between those two windows, you can see some blurring. It looks like some more cloning issues that are happening there. And then the sky itself looks like the pixels have been crushed quite a bit, pushing some sliders maybe a little bit too far. I got to give this a 7.
Morning light.
Oh, wow. Beautiful. I mean, what can you say? Look at the detail that's maintained on the shadow side of that flower. It's there. It's beautiful. There's detail in everything. The only place there's not any detail is in the black background, which is by design, of course. This is very well done. The composition is stunning. The movement, everything about it. It's a 10. Really well done.
Kit Carson grain bins.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thanks. I was just about to ask about that. good, wonderful choice aspect ratio of crop choice here. Looks like probably roughly a 2-to-1. That was a perfect choice, I think, for this, given that the foreground probably had nothing in it and the sky is not overly interesting. Look at how the that one cloud on the top left is mirroring the angle of the I guess that would be called the elevator or the conveyor. That's pretty cool. Well seen. High contrast again. Works well in this scene, I think. I do see a little, it looks like some haloing in some of the clouds that are darkening above the clouds in the sky. I'm not sure if that's caused in post-processing or if it's an issue with a polarizer, perhaps. I'll give this image an 8.
Barley monster.
Wow. Yeah. Really cool. I think what I like most about this is all that dust off to the right, and yet there's none off to the left. But yet the flag's not blowing in the wind. So clearly it's enough breeze to push all that dust, though. Really cool. I like this. It's a very simple image, center composition, which is typically, you know, a no-no, but works very well here. My OCD would want to like straighten everything up, the horizon and everything, like the horizontals of that machine I'd want to straighten up, but that's just me. That's my OCD. I think this is a great image. This is a 10.
So, veins, and we'll take a break after this one and review some of those.
Okay, great. Yeah, because we're going to review this one too. This is beautiful. Look at the movement through this. The main center part of it that comes down from the top right, swooping down. Beautiful high contrast, works exceptionally well here. It looks like it's probably backlit, would be my guess, but maybe the photographer was underneath this, pointing the camera up. Just a guess, of course, but hopefully we'll hear from that photographer. Yeah, this is a 10. This is a really cool image. I like it. It's a wonderful fine art piece I could see hanging on, you know, behind the bed or in the living room somewhere. Well done.
All right, Lightscape. This is Bob Bartlett.
Yes. This is my second attempt at long exposure. And I've been at this building for 2 years trying to get something that's really different from what everybody else has done.
Yeah.
I'm still working at it.
Keep working at it. It took me a while too before I got some that I liked. It's a tricky one.
It is. I appreciate that.
Yeah, you're welcome.
All right, thanks, Bob. Yeah, In the Rainforest. This is Ron Schaller.
Yeah, this was taken in Olympic National Park and in the forest, so the light was filtered. So I just basically added some contrast and as Kevin said, I put a vignette on it and did a little bit of sharpening on it.
Well done. It's a nice image. Really like it.
Thanks, Ron.
Thank you.
And Shipwreck Remains. This is Dan Greenberg.
Yeah, thank you, Kevin. First of all, this is a shot that was taken in Northern Oregon. I forgot the name of the beach, but it's the Peter Iredale wreck. It's like taken by everybody.
Oh yeah, I've heard of it. Yep.
Yeah, it's photographed a lot. And so basically it was a pretty flat, dull grayish blue day. And so I did a lot of processing work to it with a bunch of different things to, you know, get it to pop basically. And that's it. Thank you very much for your comments. And one thing is, can you repeat what your comment was you said for the improvement? I didn't hear it when you said it.
Oh yeah, sure. So kind of around the top edge and a little bit on the left edge. I'm seeing it on the right, just basically just right along the edge of the main subject matter. I'm seeing some darkening in the sky where I can tell where you've done some burning or some dodging or something in there. Yeah. I'm just seeing a little.
It was dark and light in the center. Okay, and it was probably too much on that side.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yep.
thank you.
You're welcome, of course.
And almost there, this is David Besson.
Yeah, this was one of those rare Seattle gray days. So the light was nice and even and reflected on the water, but it was the fresh women 8-person team, and it was about 75 meters from the finish line, so their exhaustion is certainly illustrated. But thank you for your comments, Kevin. I appreciate it.
Yes, you're welcome. Of course.
Morning Lights, Oz Feniger.
Yeah, Kevin, nice to see you.
Nice to see you, Oz.
Yeah, I took this last week. I was taking the trash out. I had a trumpet mine, and the actual flower fell off, and this was what was left. I increased the contrast or moved the black slider in levels to make the background go black. And on the bottom left, I darkened that area on the stem to make it so it's not so distracting. Shot with a 105 macro lens and I think around f13. So it's
Nice.
I'm pretty close taking the picture here.
Yeah.
Anyway, thanks for your comments.
You're welcome. Only Oz, right? Pick a flower up off the ground and make art. Awesome.
And Barley Monster. This one's actually mine. So thanks for the comments on that, Kevin. This is just a week or two ago here in Idaho. I noticed they were cutting grain up on this field across the valley. So from my house, I ran over there with the camera and started capturing pictures. And there was a lot of dust because when he came by me, I was enveloped in it. I was totally covered and camera was covered and everything. So yeah, very, very dusty operation when they're out there. But yeah, I really didn't do anything. I just adjusted the levels a little bit and cropped it down to eliminate the boring sky. But that was about it. So
Cool.
Thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome. Well done.
And veins, this is Susan Hefke.
Yes, this is a type of philodendron that has been growing in my basement. And I saw the light coming through. Thank you for your comment.
I don't know if we're not hearing you if you're talking, Susan. You're cutting out.
Oh, okay. I don't know why. This was a philodendron growing in my basement with the light coming through the window, and I just upped the contrast, and I thought it'd make a great black and white.
Okay.
It does.
Thank you.
It does indeed.
Okay, then, yep. That's all of them there. So. All right, Mystery Woman.
Cool composite. I have no idea what's going on in the foreground, but I like it. The eye is sharp. I like the subtlety of her lips there. And then just this foreground, just whatever that is really quite cool, frankly. I don't know if it's, if it's another photograph entirely that's just been smeared, and blurred and just really cool. I like this piece of art quite a bit. It's a great abstract. I'll give this a 10 for sure. It's really cool. And I'm not normally a composite guy, by the way, but I do like that a lot.
Home in the Misty Mountains.
Mm-hmm. Wow, I don't know where this is, but it sure looks pretty cool. I love how the foreground grasses at the bottom edge there are, there's just enough intrigue in there to take my eye down to that part of the frame that I ordinarily wouldn't go to. And then back up, of course, to the high contrast area of the clouds and the trees poking out, and then the structure down in the valley. Looking around this, it looks, it's technically very well done. I think the tonal control is wonderful. Focus looks good. The only thing that I might consider is maybe taking out that very top right bird, the one that's closest to the edge, and then there's one way over to the left too. You know, when things are really close to the edge like that, they can take your eye too far out of the frame. But I do like the birds in there, but that one you could maybe clone that one out if the maker's listening tonight. But I like this image quite a bit. This is a 10. It's beautiful.
Boxed in.
Tough, really tough lighting. Sunlight in the woods is so difficult to do. This reminds me of Old Car City, and if the maker was perhaps on a road trip with Jeff Johnson to Old Car City, that may be where this was taken, I don't know. Cool area. It's busy, you know, it's difficult because this high contrast scene makes it very busy. Luckily, my eye is going down to the car and being held there because it's so dark compared to the rest. I'm going to give it a 9. But what I would like the maker to consider would be to do a 2-to-1 aspect crop on it and eliminate about from the windshield up, and then just kind of focus on the front of that car and that tree, and then you would know that it's in the woods, you know, and that's all you need. Take a look at that and just see what you think.
Contrail interruptus.
And I guess the photographer was set up here not to capture that, and then decided, oh, that's pretty cool, and then capture it. Looks good. Careful. I am not one of the types of photographers that says there must be detail in all your shadow areas. I don't necessarily agree with that. But be real careful when you have big shadow areas that have shape, any kind of like sharp shape to them. So the one that's over to the right, that's kind of angular, creates a really dark triangle over to the right. My eye keeps going there, and I know the maker probably does not intend that for my eye to go there. It's a cool shot. I think that could probably come up a little bit. I'll give it an 8.
Sunflower from our garden.
Yeah. You can tell here, it's interesting when you convert things to black and white, and then all of a sudden greens and yellows become the same almost. There's separation here in the shades of gray, of course, but you can tell how similar they actually are when they do convert. It's interesting how that works. It's a cool composition. It's it's a lot of kind of grungy texture here. Really cool subject matter for black and white for sure. I'm seeing several sensor spots that would need to be addressed, I believe, kind of straight below the flower and the empty. These are all in the empty void. The negative space is where I'm seeing them, of course. And then maybe clean up the top left corner, just some cloning, just to kind of eliminate those background leaves that are, in the top right corner that are, or left corner, excuse me, that are dark. This is an 8.
Resemblance.
Yeah, I'd say. Excellent image. Wonderful crop choice. Composition is on point. And then, it's interesting is I do a lot, I myself do a ton of long exposure, and I would have actually myself done this image injustice, because my lean would have been to make this exposure much longer, which would have removed the texture from the water, and that would have done this particular image injustice, because the maker here made the water and the rock mimic one another, and it's perfect. It's really wonderful. Well, very well done. I love this. The choice of exposure here is absolutely brilliant. This is a 10, 11. Love it.
Beautiful.
Vitavu. I don't know what that means. Again, this is a landscape where the entire scene basically is your subject. It feels, it's balanced and yet antsy. And I guess because there's so much going on in it, it's really cool how the the fence leads you back, and then you kind of bounce off that tree on the left, and then you come back into the right, and then the rocks themselves have a left to right upward linear path, and then you kind of bounce back down into the frame again. I would maybe consider, if you follow the ridge line down to the right edge of the frame, it goes down, and then there's that one little rock where it starts to have the little uptick. I would crop in and just eliminate that uptick, that one rock. It's a little awkward feeling there on the edge. The tree on the left edge feels fine to me, and I would maybe do a little more localized control on this kind of the left center section of rocks, just to kind of bring out a little more lightness there, and then let the rest of the image be what it is, or even a little darker, just somewhere to help your eye land. And I think that's a pretty good place there. This is a 9.
Uphill.
Yeah, that's what I'd be doing, pushing my bike. It's cool. It's a cool capture. I like the angle. The grass is in the foreground even. Don't bother me. They're blurry, and they're enough there to allow you to know that the photographer is low, and there's he's down kind of below a hill almost. I like this. It's a 9.
Moon gazers.
Cool silhouette. Great subject for a silhouette. In fact, the moon is captured well. There's a tiny little, what's funny is there's a tiny little, it's atmospheric, of course. There's a tiny little bump on the left, kind of 10 o'clock, or no, yeah, 10 o'clock-ish area on the moon. A tiny little bump there. Could be sort of cleaned up. It's atmospheric, so it's completely natural that it's there, but you could clean it if you wanted to, just a little touch up. I really do like the silhouette. This is cool, and the sky is really well done. The exposure is nice. And I would also probably eliminate the 2 little hits of light on the right edge underneath that rock. They don't necessarily need to be there. This is a 9. It's really cool.
Okay, we'll take a break after this next one. We'll review some images.
Sure.
Patchwork Repairs, Hutchinson, Kansas.
Yeah, patchwork, I'd say. Can definitely tell wide angle lens capture. You can see that kind of that pulling effect on the edges there in the sky. It feels blurry. It's not like it's out of focus necessarily. The sky is interesting. I'm not sure if that's a composite or what's happening there. I like the idea of this a lot, and I would like the photographer to do a couple more attempts here on this one. Either go back and photograph it in some different lighting. It has so much potential. Also, maybe try cropping in and eliminating 1, 2, 3, roughly 3 of the far right silos. Come in about that far maybe and take a look and just see what you think. But technically, there's just some things that feel awkward with it to me, and I'm going to give this a 7.
So mystery woman, Joe Bonita.
Joe.
Is Joe on or in the room? Okay, he does have a comment here. The eye of a woman stares at you through an opening in the soaped window of a store that is closed. So
That's brilliant.
yeah, very cool.
Ah, that's so cool.
Home in the Misty Mountains. This is Terry Hanford. Terry on? Okay, he says, I took this picture outside a mountain farming village near the Japanese Alps. It had rained hard the night before, and in the morning, clouds and fog hung in the valley. 5 bonus points to you if you saw the birds. So, yes. All right. Then boxed in, this is Gwen Patton.
Right, it was taken as the Cartersville Auto Salvage north of Atlanta.
With Jeff Johnson.
No, not with Jeff Johnson, though. I used to live in Tennessee, and so I knew about this place.
Yeah, it's not the same as Old Car City.
No, it's not
Yeah.
Old Car City.
Yeah, it's another place.
No, this is in Georgia, north of Atlanta.
This was Old Car City. We both close together.
All right, thanks, Gwen.
Mhm.
In resemblance, this is Brian Donovan. Brian, are in the room? Okay, he says, I took this photo on the South Platte River above Strontia Springs Dam. I liked how the pattern in the rock resembled the pattern in the water.
Yep. It's really cool.
And Vitavu, this is Bill Rothmeyer. Is Bill on? The only note he has here is Wyoming. So Kevin, Vitavu is this clump of rocks up between like Laramie and Cheyenne.
Okay.
So popular climbing, but yeah, it's just this big granite outcropping of rocks.
Surprised I never heard of it. All the years I lived up there.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, cool.
Yeah, it's uphill. This is Allie Green. Allie Ann. She says, while walking in the South Downs in England, the cyclist had quite rightly got off his bike to make it to the top of the hill. I like the textures of the grasses and the chalk paths, which to me provide a nice contrast against the calmness of the cyclist. And then Moon Gazers, this is Butch Mizuka.
Yeah, Matt, good to see you again. Hope you're doing well. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, great. Matt, just a quick question. What would have made this a 10?
You mean Kevin?
I'm sorry, Kevin. I'm sorry.
That's okay, Butch. I got you.
Someone else.
I think, to eliminate those 2 little hits of light on the far right.
That's all I needed to know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to use this again, I think. Someone else mentioned that. I left it there because that's natural.
Yeah,
So-
totally. If you had a slightly different camera angle, you wouldn't have seen them probably. So if you think of it that way, and then
Right.
you can kind of eliminate that. Yeah.
All right, that's good information. Thanks.
Yeah, for sure.
And Butch, since he called Kevin Matt, I think we'll make it a 7 just for the record.
Yeah.
Okay. That's it for the review.
Okay.
A long ways to go.
Yeah, cool. This is always like these kinds of images where there's someone walking on these vast sand dunes, wherever they're located, Great Sand Dunes or White Sands, all those places are really cool. It feels slightly muddy, and by that I mean would like to see a little more contrast in the foreground. Kind of where he's walking. And then in the sky too, just a little bit to the right top. Some more texture up there, perhaps could kind of help balance that. It's a really cool image. Compositionally, it's beautiful. It's And then there's a couple spots in the sky that I'm seeing. Looks like some dust spots, sensor spots. And I checked that already on my computer before when I thought I saw that on the quick review. I'll give this an 8.
Keep off Lake.
Yeah. All that ice out there. Tricky scene here too, for sure. Bright sun on a lot of snow. It's definitely tricky. It's good that the snow is you know, it came out white, because many times you'll get snow scenes back that are gray because it fools your light meter so much. Really high contrast scene. I feel like if the sign feels a little pinched to the left to me, it's almost like it needs to move to the right, or maybe a square crop would help that feel a little less, a little more balanced, excuse me. And I would like to see more detail in the white section of the snow. Obviously in the sign, there's not a lot of detail there, I don't think anyway, but in the snow in the background. Yeah, it's a cool idea. It's an 8. Well seen.
El Habanero.
Habanero. With a cool gaze. He looks perplexed or intent. His shirt looks really cool in black and white, and the lighting on him is well done too. There's some interesting things happening in the background, especially around the back of his neck there. If you can see, I don't know if that's a person's shoulder back there or something. It's kind of some posterization kind of a feel to me, and then around his ears a little odd as well. The tonal control on him is really well done all the way through, actually. I really like the texture in his hair. The focus is good. But tackles some of those issues in the background are keeping it at an 8.
Well worn.
Yeah, I'd say. Very well worn. Felt hats. What a cool still life this is. And the lighting angle probably could not be any better, you know, because it's at the optimum angle to really bring out the texture of that felt. And I love the pop of the whiteness of the little signs that they have stuck in there. And it's cool. It has just enough intrigue, just enough movement throughout the frame. The hats are slightly different shades. My eyes kind of bouncing all over the place, and then I keep coming and landing back on In Memory of Red Delaney. This is a cool image. I like this one. I give this one a 10.
Oh, what have I seen?
Yeah, wow. Ordinarily, you don't bump clarity up when you do portraits, but on this, you know, on men like this, it works so well. The detail is incredible. And what I want to point out are the little things that matter. I find in composition. There's just enough space above the bill of his hat before the top edge, so you can see the curvature of the hat. You know, just enough white of the hat there showing, and you can see the Chase Elliott logo on the side, so that this guy's a NASCAR fan, and it's really cool. It's everything about this image is good. So this is a 10 for sure.
Patterns and texture.
Cool. It's well seen. I don't know what it is. I don't have to know what it is. It's patterns and texture. Tonal controls really nicely done. There's a lot of beautiful texture in there. Would have liked a little more that square. I guess that would be a nut or bolt. Actually, that square bolt. God, I wish it was like moved up slightly, or that black mesh was like a little further down or something, a little more breathing room there somehow. It's a cool image. It's an 8. I like it though, a lot.
Abandoned.
It's always fun when you can get the sky to be that dark against white clouds like that. I can remember living out in Colorado, and the clouds were, you know, those wispy clouds could be sometimes very frustrating because they never set up properly and they move so slow. Unlike the puffy clouds, you know, down here on the near, you know, in the south. Another high contrast scene, tricky. I don't know where to look necessarily. The whole scene is I guess the subject matter, but I think the sky actually has more intrigue to me, honestly. This is an 8.
Is this my good side?
Let me focus on, let me get something pulled up here again on this image. Yeah, I just needed to verify focus again on the eye, and it is in focus. It's a, you know, it's a headshot of a bird, like kind of like the other one. I should not be comparing it to the other one, so I'm not. But it's your corporate headshot. It is in focus. The beak actually, when I look at the file that I was sent on my other display, it's the beak is tack sharp. And I do like that there's a little sliver of space between the top and lower beak there. That's really cool. Try a square crop, perhaps. I think it just feels a little too much void off to the right. This is an 8.
Skywalker.
Really cool. Ordinarily, really white skies don't do it for me very much, but it certainly does here. This is pretty cool. I think the only thing that could have been really cool is if that person was one section back to the left in that little void right above the where the crossing wires are. That would have been a pretty cool place for him to be in the composition, I think. I like the aspect ratio. I like the overall feel of this image. The angles work well for me. This is a 9. It's a cool image.
In the Dream Grove.
I don't know if this is a composite. I don't need to know necessarily. It's a pretty cool abstract. It's almost like between the bright sections of tree, there's other wood texture back there that's sort of muddy, but it works. It's interesting. It's a pretty cool abstract. I want to hear about it. It's a 9.
Fragile condition.
Nice composition. Like that the photographer put themselves in a position where you could see these trees off to the right, kind of leading you into this old structure here. This is kind of one of those, it's that lighting situation where when you have these types of grasses, they get really crunchy feeling, very contrasty in between the grasses, and then obviously all that wood does a similar thing. I feel like I can see some areas above or around that very top structure, the little structure on top of the main structure, where it's some dodging and burning issues that are bleeding out into the sky a little bit. It's a 7, but I feel like if you can fix those things, it would be an 8.
Shadow dog.
Mm-hmm. No doubt about what the subject matter is here. It's really pretty cool. I mean, you cannot see anything of the dog except for that, his nose. That's it. I like the image. I feel like if it was just like some sort of a crop, maybe square or even a normal aspect ratio crop, but none of the car was showing, so it was just black and then that nose. Have a look at that and see what you think. I don't know if the car is definitely gray or if it just feels a little muddy because the exposure had to be dropped enough to where the white nose was not blown out, and then that caused the rest of the image to become a little bit muddy feeling. So that crop could adjust that for sure. This is an 8.
Stone Steps, Ludwigsburg, Palace, Germany.
Really cool. This is definitely a subject matter that speaks to me. These types of repeating patterns. I think the lighting on it's cool, but it's really bright on the front part of the steps, and then quite shadowed here on the left as it goes up and around. There is detail. I don't know if you can all see it or not, but there is detail in the back right corner. Even there's a door back there. I can see a door handle. But in a print, I feel like it would be fairly dark, and that handrail, because of the way it's lighting on the top, I almost feel like if that could be cloned out somehow, that distraction, it's a little distracting for me, that handrail, or more of it would need to be brought out to where I could see a little bit more of it, of the handrail itself. And it feels a little off level to me, and the door in the background actually indicates that. So if it was rotated a little bit clockwise, the door would straighten up, and then that would also straighten to make the stairs feel a little bit more level. It's really close. It's an 8.
Rhode Island Guardian.
Cool linear movement into the lighthouse. Just long enough exposure to get some some movement of the waves crashing on the rocks, but also leaving plenty of texture in the water, which is great here. And definitely not long enough to even capture a lick of movement in the clouds. So I think the length of time on exposure was well done here, and it's a nice movement from foreground to the subject matter, and the aspect ratio is good. I like this image. I'll give it a 9.
Rotunda.
Wait a second, aren't rotundas round? This is like a rectangle. It's well seen. I like the really sharp shadows on the columns. Really cool, that repeating pattern there. That to me is almost like the primary focus part. Could kind of really indicate on that. And it's so different. The lighting feels so different there than it does on the top section, for sure. I would capture this again on a really cloudy day. Go to the same location, capture it again on a really cloudy day, and see if obviously you'll lose the shadows that I just commented on the columns, but I think the rest of it would help come out. I do like it. And then take a look at your lower right corner, very lower right corner. There's that little tiny tree coming in there. And then the tree that's coming in off the left edge could be very easily cloned out as well. And I think that would help clean it up. Get rid of some of that visual distraction. It's an 8.
Mama's pride.
Mhm. Very cool. I wonder where this was captured. It's funny, the only reason I know there's 3 cubs there is because of the ears, because you can't see the eyes of the other 2. If the camera was up like another 3 feet, maybe you could. But I kind of dig it at the same time that you can't see their eyes. Because and then it's like a little surprise. You're like, oh my God, wait, there's 3 of them. Because of their little ears. I like it. It's a good good nature capture, regardless of, you know, if this animal's in captivity or not. It's still a good nature capture, wildlife capture. Look at all the flies around it too. A lot of good texture here. It's a 9.
North Rim Strike.
Good grief. What an amazing capture. Holy moly. And look at that shaft of rain in the background behind the lightning too. Just pouring back there. Plenty of detail in the foreground below the bolt. All the canyon walls have a lot of detail and texture, and the sky's got plenty. The lightning strike itself. Yeah, this is cool. It's a 10.
And that is all the images. If we could go back and review this last group. Oh,
Yeah, wow.
well worn is Ron Schaller.
Okay, thank you, Kevin. This was taken at a tack shop down in Raton, New Mexico, and there were several walls that had, there were a lot more of these hats lining the upper part of the walls, and there's, I think, a combination of a little bit of light from the store window and from outside, but mainly fluorescent light from the ceiling. And
Oh, wow.
and I cropped it and worked with the contrast, and it was handheld. The ISO was pretty high, so I did some noise reduction, topaz denoise, and I just like the story it told about the ranching community there.
Yeah, well done.
Thank you.
Oh, what I've seen, David Besson.
Yeah, this is a fellow up in Como, Colorado, which is almost a ghost town. He's probably one of the last of the 12 residents, I think. And
wow.
Cutting wood for his winter supply in August. And one of those localized rainstorms came up, and he ran under the awning of a building, and we just happened to be going by, and I was actually shooting with Frank Gibbs, and we both jumped out of the car and said, "Hey, do you mind if we take your picture?" He said, "No." So we shot. This was actually with a telephoto. I was probably about 7 feet away from him, but I was able to, you know, capture him very tightly, and I did crop it a little bit more. But thanks for the comments, Kevin. And the sharpness in the beard just amazed me when I saw it on the screen for the first time.
Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing.
Skywalker, this is Joe Bonita. Joe Snedona, he says a construction worker walks across the bridge over the Yangtze River in China near the Three Gorges Dam.
Yeah, that's cool.
This is in the Dream Grove, Terry Hanford.
Mm-hmm.
Is Terry on?
No.
Because the bark of a silver maple reminded me of a grove of tree trunks.
Yeah, that's bark. Wow. Yeah, I mean, I wasn't sure what I was looking at. It's really quite cool.
Rhode Island Guardian. This is Brian Donovan. This is the Point Judith Lighthouse in Rhode Island. The black and white conversion brought out the stormy feeling of the day.
Agreed.
And in Mama's Pride, this is Allie Green. And we were lucky to capture this lioness with her cubs directly in her path while on safari in Kenya. It shows a wonderful intimacy between the mother and her cubs. And finally, North Rim Strike, Butch Mizuka.
Butch.
And Kevin, my apologies, my head was somewhere else. Anyway.
Oh, it's okay.
But it's good to see you again.
Thanks.
You know, I like going down to the Grand Canyon, and I have the last couple of years to shoot lightning, and just to make sure that there's someone there that has a lightning app, and you have a good lightning trigger. What else is there to say?
Yeah. Yep,
Okay.
it's cool. It's great capture, and I like the fact that there's plenty of detail and tonal range in the foreground. So it's not just the lightning that makes this image good. There's plenty of other things that make the image good too.
No, I appreciate that.
Yeah, you're welcome.
All right, and that's a wrap. So Kevin, really want to thank you for taking the time tonight and previously
Of course.
the images, and appreciate all the comments and all that
My
you
pleasure.
shared with the
Yeah.
group. So it's good to have you back.
Yeah, thanks. And if anybody has questions about the way I scored a certain image or anything like that, I'm sure once you post these up to your website, you'll have a link to my website. They can certainly just reach out to me directly, and we can talk those through or whatever. And I can do any of that kind of stuff. I do mentoring and teaching and all that stuff too. So yeah, absolutely.
Good. Well, thanks a lot again, and
You're welcome.
a little later for you on the Eastern time.
It's
zone.
not bad. It's only 9:40. It's not bad.
That's getting close to my bedtime for me. But yeah, unless there's any final comments from anyone. All right. Well, we'll see y'all in a couple of weeks or so at the program meeting in October.
Cool. Great.
Okay. All right. Thanks a lot, everyone.
Thank you. Thanks, Kevin.
Thanks.
You got it. See you guys.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Kevin. We appreciate it.
You got it. My pleasure.